something for me as a practitioner where I realize when I go off is when somehow I start to leave bodhicitta behind. It sort of creeps in subtly because it's my practice and I have to do it right and get really good at it. And then somehow when I do that, right, I'm so on myself again, right? It's just so funny. And then
the ego is such a tricky thing, you know?
Yeah. So I mean that's that's a good question. So how do we make sure that we don't sort of practice, especially these days there's so much about, meditation being good for you and it's good for your brain and everything. But how do we remember to keep this grand vision of others always in our practice?
I think, like I said before, there's a habituation that needs to happen, through the practice. But also, I think, too, when we're really noticing this, there's such a freedom that comes when we're able to not grasp to the self, deep, deep freedom. And I think when we actually recognize that freedom and what happens, we feel so much more inspired to cultivate that and to continue to search for that and long for that. And when we're feeling really contracted and we feel like the tightness of our own self-concern, to really notice that and notice the pain of that, We have both to remind us. And then it just keep going with it. It's like anything. Just keep looking and recognizing, and appreciating that even when you're like when you're tight and contracted and you recognize that and you see what's happening, that in itself is an amazing, something to rejoice in, rather than just getting caught in it and just getting lost in it. But that recognition of your pain and where your pain is coming from,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that there's a tendency when we notice that pain to become so disappointed with ourselves and think, oh, I'm just not doing it right, see? And actually what I think you're saying here is that actually, no, that's cause for celebration. That is the practice.
Yeah, that is, I know. It's so amazing how we always kind of default to that nasty place. And don't appreciate, this is the thing with the Dharma, is you can appreciate everything. There's nothing that arises that can't be valued and utilized in some way or another if you're committed to that. And we're not solid, we're not static, we're always changing every moment. And it's so funny that we believe our thoughts in this way. And whatever arises, we just get caught and we think, oh, that's true, and it's so momentary. Then if it's different every moment, then how can you say it's true, So we have this kind of, I don't know, my teacher comfortably says, like, what arises moment by moment is like the natural vitality of our own mind. And so to look at it in that way and solidify it and resent it is aggressive, he says. And so we should enjoy it and learn from it and utilize it. So this is a different approach. It's a different spirit for our experience, Yeah. Appreciate ourselves and our minds in that kind of way, without that kind of resentment.